Chris Cooney with the Chamber. I want to welcome you here to our 26th week of these calls, COVID recovery and resource calls. We hope to have a lot more to report to you as we get through the month of October. The good news is the president did sign a continuation of the federal budget through December 11th. So that's great news. We're hoping along with that there would be a federal stimulus phase 4, which we've all been talking about, but I'll get to that in a moment. Just to kind of lead off, I do want to just remind you we will hear from the mayor and state resources through Mass Office of Business Development, as well as we're expecting Eli Spayu to join us in a few moments, just to bring us up to the date on a few things having to do with the SBA. The SBA director national was in New England the last couple of days, so I think he's going to talk a little bit about that. This call is being recorded. And it'll be posted on the Chamber's website, COVID recovery site, so metrosouthchamber.com. There's some great resources there, and most of what we talk about is posted there as well. In addition to the video from today, that will be posted to that location. We ask you if you have any questions to post them either in the chat or the Q&A. Doesn't make any difference. We're monitoring both. And I want to thank our panelists for responding to those questions as they go, or if need be, they've agreed to follow up with you after the call to make sure you get your answers to your questions. So I did want to acknowledge just over the week, we've had many partners sending these notices out to their members as well. The Avon Industrial Park Association, the Bridgewater Business Association, the Brockton Area NAACP, the Campello Business Association, the Cape Verdean Association, the Eastern Chamber of Commerce, the East Bridgewater Business Association, the Haitians United, the MS BDC, that's the Massachusetts Small Business Development Center, the Norwell Chamber of Commerce, the Pembroke Chamber, Randolph Chamber, the South Shore Women's Business Network, and the Stoughton Chamber of Commerce. So I want to thank all of them for helping to promote these calls. We want to get into an update from the mayor. I know a lot is going on. I think I'm supposed to be before the city council on Monday regarding the curfew, which I know is, everything that's happened to businesses is now in the 6 months, and it's a very difficult time. I know the governor's been responding to a lot of inquiries about, what can open and the impact it's having. But what we can say is Massachusetts is in better shape as a result of some of the steps that have been taken here, as opposed to a lot of the other states. So, Mayor, how's it going? What's new? And I know you've probably heard about this as well.
Thanks, Chris. Great to see Margaret and Susan again, and Eli. I mean, it's been weeks and weeks of this, and it's helping. I will tell you that we're starting to see a slight uptick, unfortunately, in Brockton. 11 new cases yesterday. Just had a call a little while ago with all the hospitals here, and the census numbers are showing some positivity. We lost 2 additional residents yesterday, so death count, total loss of life is 288. Total cases overall is 4,820. Active positive cases of residents right now in the city of Brockton with coronavirus, 120. Again, the state does a 14-day period window. Most latest is from September 13th to the 26th. And when we look at our average daily count, we're at 6.0, and the state average is 5.7. So statistically and metric-wise, our positive test rate daily is 1.97, and the state average is 1.1. So I'll tell you, I just had a call actually with a business owner that owns a restaurant in Brockton. Have a call later on this afternoon with a major CEO of a corporation in Brockton. Some of the business owners understand the curfew. Others are upset by it. I will tell you that as the mayor, I don't take it lightly. The original curfew that I made mandate was at 9 p.m. And then we started the trend in the right direction. Then when we spiked up to red, I said, you know what, if we can give a 2-hour window to help the businesses, let's do it 11 p.m. And we have. It's 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. And now we're in a yellow. And out of the top 10 in the Commonwealth, of the top 10 municipalities with the highest numbers, Brockton is number 4, but we're the only yellow. Everybody else is red except for Randolph, they're green. So we're doing something right. And, I know that some of the business owners, restaurant owners are a little upset by it. I get it, but I need to have a safe, healthy community. I think on Monday with Governor Baker's new phased opening. It's going to help. It's going to help, with some entertainment options and, increased capacity is going to help. But, at the end of the day, from a business perspective, I need to make sure we have a vibrant, healthy community. And the number one thing is we want to make sure at some point we can get students back in the classroom as well. We need that setting. So it didn't help losing power the other day in the city of Brockton, but we managed. And I do know, Chris, I've had at least 3 calls with developers this week, Zoom calls. And I keep saying it, but they are looking at the city of Brockton to invest millions of dollars in not just in the core, in the 4 corners of the city. So things are happening. And number one thing right now is we need to stay in yellow with a purpose and a goal to get down to green, but we're not there yet.
Mm-hmm. So Mayor, maybe it'd be helpful to, I understand what you're saying, maybe it'd be helpful to talk a little bit about the rationale. I mean, from 9 to 11 to 1, is it that people consume more alcoholic drinks and then get closer together at those hours?
No, it's not the booze. It's not the booze at all. It's the fact that 11 p.m. we were seeing the curfew was for the whole city. So we were seeing, as you know, a lot of house parties that were creating a really recipe for disaster. So the 11 p.m. curfew has really minimized and mitigated those house parties. Not obsolete. They're not gone, but it's minimized those. And unfortunately, when we do 11 p.m. curfew, it's across the board. Now, what I'm not happy about is some establishments are not adhering to that. They're locking the doors, but they're staying open, and that's unfair business practice. That doesn't help the people that are, really adhering to it. So I want to let you know that the License Commission has police officers assigned, and they're investigating that. I also did an executive order this week to help restaurants because I cut the entertainment and alcohol licensing fee in half now for the annual application. It's a step in the right direction. Little things that I can do to help businesses, I will. But again, when you look at the Chelseas, the Lawrences, the Lynn's, the Brocktons, Revere, Everett, Worcester, Randolph, Framingham, Lowell, the top 10, we're the only ones that have a curfew. We're the only ones that are in yellow. We're not in red.
Yeah. Absolutely, I understand, and this is a great opportunity to be able to kind of talk about that and express from your perspective, I guess, why and the rationale. And from our perspective, that most of our members absolutely understand it. There are a few that are facing additional obstacles, but it's a lot easier, I would imagine, to police when there's a curfew at 11, whether it's a private establishment or a backyard or what have you. That the idea is to cut the numbers down so we can all get back to normal.
That's right. We all have a shared vision, that's for sure.
Yeah. So they're asking me the city council is asking me to be there on Monday just to kind of talk, kind of giving you an update too, that we have not received from many of our businesses a concern about the curfew at this time. I think mostly people understand it, and it's amazing the positive response the governor is getting, despite the 1 or 2 items that you hear, especially early on around the closings, whether that was a gym membership or gym owner or possibly a hotel or restaurant or bar. It's fairly limited considering the number of business categories that are out there, and most of them have been able to navigate around it. With that said, it's not a great situation. So thank you for clarifying all of that. I want to bring up one other thing too, if you would. I know you've been very supportive of a proposal by the Boys and Girls Club to expand here in the city. And I know there's quite a few businesses that have stepped up and pledged $10 million to possibly build a new facility. My understanding is that is moving forward. I know you've been a great supporter of kids and community. Is there anything you can kind of give us in terms of an update on that? Or?
Yeah, no, I can tell you that their lawyers are talking to the city council lawyer and to the city solicitor. If we can facilitate that in fast order, I say let's do it. Being outdoors and recreation is key. So, they are the people that need to talk are talking. And, my view is, as a Brockton guy, if we can benefit, let's do it. With the wrinkle that we have to make sure we dot the I's and cross the T's. So that's kind of where we are right now on that one, Chris.
All right, great. Thank you.
I also, just one other thing, how I always say census.
Yeah.
We're at 60.1% right now. Of course, 10 years ago, we were in the 40 percentile. So we're doing all right, and we're going to keep going.
Now, we still have, did they extend it to November 1st, or is it, we're closing in on the final days here, right?
Yeah, we are, but all hands on deck.
Yeah, that's great. 60%. Hey, that's an improvement. So that's great. And that's a long tradition, by the way, on the Boys and Girls Club. Back when that was an armory, it required the city to get involved, and the mayor at the time assisted in getting that resource. So many kids are there, and they're eating and using computers and getting guidance. So it's great. Thank you very much, as usual. So I want to jump over to Margaret. Margaret, how are you? I know we're off cycle now again because we came to this week, 2 o'clock call, and now the secretary is having his briefing next Friday, which we're off, and then we'll be back the weekend after that. So what's new though? What can you tell me? I think you've got a slide deck for us, right?
I do. And so let me just say the first order of business as we were opening this up, this friend of mine with these pizza pans, I need to go to Bay State Restaurant Products on Hervey Street. Are they a chamber member?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, so legendary. If you make your own bar style pizza, that's where you get your pizza pans. So don't sell them out before I get there.
Well, you brought this up, so I have to tell you the history of the bar pizza pan. The pizza was made in a serving tray for beer. So Schlitz and Schaefer and all the Old Milwaukee and Pabst Blue Ribbon, they all put out these metal trays, which allowed the server to come by with 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 beers in, and if it spilled, it stayed in that container. Well, fast forward, people decided to use those tins to make pizza in and then serve the pizza with the beer, right? And so that's where that shape and size came from for bar pizza. So.
Okay, so that's a super fun fact. And my pal Kerry Byrne is a food writer, had been a food writer for years and has been running the South Shore Bar Pizza Facebook page. And I'm like, if I see another one of Kerry's posts on this bar pizza and people making their pizza, and I said, that's it. I'm going to buy my husband these pizza pans to be feel part of it. So Brockton, here I come. And then Chris, while you and the mayor were just talking about the Boys and Girls Club, the state has a lot of great resources that support nonprofits. So offline, let's maybe get connected for a call with them so we can help. I'm excited to hear about that. And let's get this slide deck going. Obviously, the governor had a big announcement on Tuesday. So I'm going to share with you. I just want to make sure here you're okay and seeing these slides in the beginning. Okay, you're good. You see what we need to here. Okay, so Mayor Sullivan did a great job covering kind of where Brockton is now on last week when the governor made his announcement. We talked about looking at the past 3 weeks of healthcare data and allowing the communities where it is safe to do so to proceed into phase 3, step 2. And there's also some updates for those communities that are staying in step 1 of phase 3. Mayor Sullivan, I should clarify, is Brockton ready to proceed for next week, October 5th, into step 2? Maybe we can have him jump back on or make sure about that. I just want to clarify, but we'll get going and explain kind of the step 1 where things are at, and then the step 2 where things are going. And then obviously there's some municipalities that are making different decisions, and so if it's applicable, but it is a regional chamber, so I'll give this overview. So we talked about the gatherings order, and the mayor talked about the curfew and the impact it's having on the late night gatherings and the effect and the positive response that they're seeing. So the governor, for if you're in both step 1 and step 2, we're remaining at the limit for indoor gatherings at 25. Your outdoor gatherings, if you're at a private residence or a backyard, you're staying at 50. The outdoor gatherings that are event venues, public settings, like a business venue that you're renting in, are going to, for the communities proceeding to step 2, increase to 100. Now, this is really important. We saw big trends over the summer about backyard weddings, right? It was like, well, you can't rent the place, you're restricted, and we're seeing these parties, and that was where the contact tracing, a lot of it was stemming back to these gatherings with close contact. So these are the updates around that. It does require the social distancing and gatherings of more than 10 to have you wear masks. The sector-specific protocols, we talked a lot about that on the calls. These are being updated. So I actually just was looking for someone earlier. The gyms and fitness facilities, for example, one has updated. Hop on mass.gov/reopening, and you can look at your sector-specific protocols. Personally, I like the sector-specific protocol summary. It really spells out what's mandatory and then what the best practices are of some recommendations. to customize what's working for you. For restaurants, we've talked previously about that outdoor extension the governor signed off, which proceeds to 60 days past the end of the state of emergency. Some of the municipalities had made changes more restrictive than that. So when I'm saying all, this is kind of now, that's at step 1 communities, whether you're step 1, step 2, it applies. And then step 2 is those communities that are proceeding. So the restaurant language had a requirement to close for cleaning for 24 hours if there was a COVID positive response. That's no longer. We're directing you to follow the latest CDC guidance. And then for performances at restaurants, we're not allowing singing. It says allow, but singing is not allowed indoors. That might be a mistake. We'll allow the instruments, but not singing for indoor performance. Okay, sorry. My slide's a little bit cut off the way I'm sharing it here.
So instrumentation, but no vocals.
No singing. It did say that. Okay. So that's for indoor performance. And that aligns with our indoor performance venue guidance, right? So indoor and outdoor theaters, concert halls, and similar performance venues. In your phase 1 guidance, you were previously, your capacity limit included staff and the performers. That's no longer applicable. So that's just your customer capacity is the capacity applies to. And for the indoor performance venues, we're increasing your capacity, 50% capacity with a max of 250. Same for the outdoor performance venues.
And that includes the servers?
So the staff and the performers do not count to capacity. So you have 250, well, plus your staff, plus your performers.
Okay.
Right, if you're at that max end.
And absolutely no karaoke, correct?
No, I don't believe you're going to do karaoke. So outdoor, you're allowed to do singing, but they didn't drill down to specify karaoke. But that's you wouldn't believe I had one. Well, why can they sing in church and they can't sing in the performance venue? I'm like, I get it. It's really cutting hairs here. Indoor and outdoor events, same. Staff does not, caterers don't count towards your capacity limit. This is aligning the indoor and outdoor events or aligning with the gatherings order, 25 indoor and 100 outdoors. Same thing. You're allowing the instrumentation inside, but not the singing.
Okay.
So, you can have a DJ indoors, right? But we're not singing. Okay, retail. All the food courts are now going to be allowed to open cross sectors, and in step 2, businesses, fitting rooms for all stores are going to be, those restrictions have been removed. In arcades, this is one, you've really felt bad with what to do, particularly with the summer fun, the arcades, the indoor and outdoor recreation businesses. Step 2, we're increasing the capacity. And then the step 2 activities are now going to be allowed to open. So laser tag, roller rinks, trampoline, obstacle courses. And if you're the LaFarge family, we're big fans of escape rooms. And so escape rooms were a step 2 activity, although they're not listed. Your golf course, we'll be happy to hear they're allowed to, all of them are allowed to ride, have more than one rider per cart and have flag sticks back on the course. The driving and flight schools, gyms, libraries, museums, and our catch-all sector is not otherwise addressed, can increase capacity to 50%. We've talked a little bit about this, and when I get down to my Bay State restaurant and buy my pizza pan, I'll make sure to hashtag them, hashtag #MyLocalMA. Well, this is an opportunity for the grassroots, ground floor promotion. Tell us what you're proud of in Brockton and the Metro South region. We want to hear about these businesses where you can hop on, find mylocalma.com, download this flyer to share, use any of the logos. I just gave a sampling, there's many more, and use that hashtag in the campaign and social media. We want to hear from Brockton. Why should I come to Brockton? What's there to do in Brockton? What are you proud of? What business did you have a good experience about? In addition to what you, the business owner or the residents, able to do to really help us celebrate Massachusetts, we're trying to get people, encourage them. You're home, you're not necessarily traveling, or you're, staying local. Spend your money local. And, particularly a lot of our nonprofits we talk about that are struggling in the cultural organizations, how can you support them in your message, right? A social media post helps them. So the Commonwealth, through our Mass Office of Travel and Tourism, and this isn't just for tourism, we're really trying to message this around all local, for local business campaign. But you'll be seeing this on TV, hearing it on the radio, seeing billboards, seeing it in the traditional print publications. So look for this campaign, #MyLocalMA, and please share your experiences and give your local chamber a shout out for all the good work they do locally. And then this one we've talked about, but it's always worth repeating, is the tax relief for the local businesses. So you've heard us talk about this a couple times. This is the third, I believe, extension the governor has granted. And this is deferring the regular sales tax, meals tax, and occupancy taxes for small businesses. And it's through April 2021, which your payment would be due May 2021. All penalties and interest are waived. So there's nothing, if you're, would normally be filing and submitting your sales tax, there's no penalty for deferral. And in some cases, businesses paying less than $150,000 are going to receive relief. You don't need to apply for this. This is going to be through your directly through DOR. And I do have the link here for those looking to read the additional information. And then this is it. So you have Sue and I's contact information. Sue's camera shy today, but both her and I are always on the call giving our updates. And we welcome you to contact us offline. Call us, text us, email us. We're there for you. And, really, we say this all the time, and we're glad to be a part of all 26 of your calls, I believe, is that, the Baker administration, when Sue and I first came on board, was like, get to know Brockton, set up base camp in Brockton. We really believe in supporting this municipality. So we're here for you. Please don't hesitate. If you have a question, you need to understand this guidance. We understand there's a lot of changes. We're here to help you understand them. And, honestly, the reason that we're able to progress in Massachusetts and move forward progress through our phases is that people are doing the right thing, right? We have good leadership in place. They're following the curfews. They're wearing their masks. They're doing social distancing. So they're using their hygiene protocols. So thank you to those businesses, to the residents, for everybody in doing your part. It's, like the mayor said, it is what's making this difference for us. And it is the reason that Brockton is in yellow, right? Massachusetts was one of the hardest hit states in the country. We're #1 for testing, and people are following the sector-specific protocols, and it's keeping us, where we are. So I get it. We're all, running short of patience and frustrated with COVID, and but we're continuing to progress. So that's the updates.
That's great, Margaret. Thanks so much for that. You talked a little bit about the resources that are available and some of the changes that are coming up in terms of reopening. And that's very, very helpful. I wanted to build on that and talk about the Brockton Fund. There is grants up to $10,000 for every business or any business in the city of Brockton. People have to apply, and those applications can be linked or can be viewed by the link that Lexi or Emma are putting up down below. That's any business that's in the city of Brockton can apply up to $10,000. Quite a few have been allocated, but there's still 20 or 30 left that remain. So those can be used for PPE. They can be used for rent and utilities, that type of thing. And it's a grant, not a loan. In addition, there are Brockton dedicated funds from Seed Corporation through the federal government through Seed. And those funds can be accessed through the Seed website. And I'll ask Emma or Lexi to put that link up to Seed Corporation. Those funds are dedicated to the city of Brockton and can be accessed in addition to several others. Also wanted to remind people that the Massachusetts Small Business Development Center, our local person is Jill. She'll sit down with you via Zoom and help guide you through the various grants and loan applications that are available, and help you think about how to get your information together and get it in so that you can qualify. She's a great resource, and again, we'll put her information down below so you can reach directly out to Jill at the Small Business Development Center. That's a network of small centers. In addition, Mass Export, Paula Murphy reached out to us recently. They have new grant funds available for companies that want to export. They'll help fund your activities to open international markets. This has been of interest, and we've had several Brockton companies inquire about it since we started to promote it last week. So if you're interested in getting into exporting, or you were in exporting, or you are in exporting and you have costs that are related to that, you can receive grant funds to further that. I think the governor and Margaret, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think there's a concerted effort here to bolster businesses and have them start looking beyond the pandemic, especially to foreign markets, and bringing in more customers to Massachusetts. So much like the program you just talked about, which is the buy local, it's also export local products and bring dollars back to Massachusetts. So I think we're going to post that link that Paula provided down below. But did you want to add anything on the mass export piece of that? Okay.
Sorry, I'm uncovered. No, I think you did a great job, Chris. Thank you. That's great.
All right, great.
I'm happy to get anybody connected too. So if they do want to reach out to me for more information, Mass Office of International Trade and Investment, Mark Sullivan is the director over there. We work very closely with him. So happy if everyone is looking at exporting projects, Sue and I can make connections for you, and we're happy to do that.
Okay, excellent, excellent. The Chamber office is also open to stamp certificates of origin. That is required in many cases where products are being exported from Massachusetts to other markets. Certificates of origin are required as part of that process, and we can stamp and sign those documents by appointment at the Chamber. So just want to bring up one more, and that's Mass Development. Jay Patakis and Mary Ellen Frias are both staff of Mass Development. They're a quasi-governmental agency. They also will sit down with you and talk about financing options and such. And I know they also offer nonprofit financing and for construction and that type of thing, really good rates. And then finally, the Raft Program. I know I bring this up every week, but there is up to $4,000 available for a person or family, as long as their income is under, I think, 70,000. So if you've been laid off and you're on unemployment benefits, you would likely qualify at this point. And they will cover up to $4,000 in a year of, again, rent or mortgage. So if you find yourself in a situation, that's through NeighborWorks, and that's for any community. So you just need to qualify and apply. And they have been awarding quite a few $4,000 grants in that regard, from what I understand. So let's thank you, Margaret. Appreciate that. Is Susan going to speak, or you're covering? Okay, great. Hi, Susan. Glad you're with us. I'm going to jump over to Eli. Eli, it's good to see you again. Of course, you and I were both hoping to be talking about this new Phase 4 stimulus today. We're so close. The Treasury Secretary came on this morning and said he's at $167 trillion. The Speaker of the House mentioned that they voted yesterday a new plan. They reduced it from 3.4 to 2.2 trillion in stimulus, but there's still a gap there between the 2.2 and the 1.7 roughly, and it just hasn't been decided. We hope that that gets decided soon, and we can talk at length about how businesses can access that those additional resources. So can you tell us what's new? I also, I know there's not a tremendous amount new, but you and I talked a little bit about maybe talking about the 504 and the 7A, some of the traditional SBA programming. And then, of course, we have a SCORE office right here in our building, and they've been available remotely to assist small businesses. And SCORE, of course, is a division of SBA. So I was hoping you might just touch on some of those.
Absolutely, Chris, and thanks again for having me on this call. Great call as always. We started the new fiscal year yesterday, so to all of those who operate on the federal fiscal year, happy federal fiscal year. We do have funding until for another couple of months through a continuing resolution. But yesterday we had a big event here in Boston, so just want to talk about that a little bit. Our SBA administrator, Jovita Carranza, visited with us, and she visited a number of businesses in the Boston market, face-to-face, all wearing masks, social distancing, and so on and so forth. But he was excited, to have a high-profile, individual like her who sits on the president's cabinet visit with us and visit with some small businesses. Most of them recipients of PPP loans, EIDL loan funds, and told her in person their challenges, how these programs have helped them survive and thrive during this real, challenging times. So it was great to see her, to meet her in person, to see, she's such a down-to-earth individual, and really took the time and sat down with each one of the 6 small businesses we had set up meetings for her. And she's today in New Hampshire, doing the same thing. So really, really inspired, I would say, by her. And moreover, she feels that this deal is going to pass. She said she had a few conversations with the Secretary of the Treasury, and they, he gave a press, conference this morning, but she said based on the conversations with him, she feels that something's going to happen sooner rather than later. So there was an article on the Boston Globe. I'll share the link with you all. So if you want to check it out, I think Channel 25 was at one of this visits. So there's probably going to be some video clip of her visit, in Boston. But she did reiterate a couple of points. So first and foremost, a conversation is that the $133+ billion left over from the previous rounds of PPP funding are going to get reappropriated with additional funding, obviously, if this bill passes and becomes law. So they're considering another round of PPP, whether it's going to be for those businesses who already benefited from PPP or not, we won't know yet. But most likely that's going to have to be the case. I mean, we only funded, 2.5 months, which, ends up being about 10 weeks of funding for small businesses under the PPP. So obviously, this pandemic has definitely, dragged on for far longer than 2.5 months. So although folks have 24 weeks to spend the money, the businesses affected by the pandemic, obviously they need a lot more help, as we all know it. So we're hopeful. I mean, I was really, uplifted by her words and remarks yesterday, thinking that, we're going to have another program. And we heard it loud and clear from small business owners. They have no desire to acquire more debt. So they weren't talking about debt. They were talking about, grants. They said PPP loans, please, more of those, more funding. That was the message she got, and she heard them, loud and clear. So, we'll wait and see. Again, don't want to spend a lot of time on something that's, that's still proposed legislation at this point. But to your point about the traditional programs, so for everybody on the line, the economic injury disaster loan funds are still there, available. We are seeing an increased number of fraudulent applications. So anyone, share with your networks, anyone who sees a hard hit on their credit. Okay, so some people do have credit monitoring services, others don't. But if you do see a hard hit from the Office of Disaster Assistance, ODA, and you don't have a business, or you've already received something, or you've never applied for an EIDL loan, reach out to us at the district office. Okay, Massachusetts DO for district office at sba.gov. Okay, we'll look that up. We'll make sure whether it's legitimate, whether an application is in place, whether a loan's been funded. Okay, because we've made it so convenient for actual small businesses in need of funding to get an EIDL loan. We see unscrupulous people that are taking advantage of that. So if somebody's identity has been stolen in the past, that information is somewhere out there in the cloud. So what this people are doing, they're applying for under somebody's name, legitimate name, Social Security, as a sole proprietor. They're adding the word farm next to their name, or fisheries, or something, agricultural related, something that makes it sound right, like it's a DBA, a sole proprietor, right? So I've seen all sorts of things, from locksmiths to that are actually not existent businesses, right? But the agency doesn't check on that. The agency checks on the principals personally identifiable information. So if this culprits actually have their hands on legitimate social security numbers, dates of birth, and they have access, information from the credit bureaus, and they've gotten really good at this because they're getting this deals passed, faster than legitimate businesses are, getting loans approved, which is really unbelievable at this point. But they've got it down to a science. So be on the lookout. I wouldn't say it's rampant, but we're seeing more and more cases of fraud. Okay, so that's the one thing. Just want to touch base quickly on the export program. So we do have a new standard operating procedure for our traditional programs. Okay, some major improvements were made on that standard operating procedure. That's a document that our participating lenders utilize to approve new loans, 7A, 504, export, express, all sorts of SBA loans. So those are the policies and procedures. We made that SOP available to lenders and the public about a month or so ago, and it became effective yesterday. So it is a much easier read. The information, some changes, some improvements have been made as applicable to the CDCs in particular, the certified development companies, the environmental procedures. So definitely made that process a little easier, and just added some other updates throughout the program, including appraisal values and things of that nature. So we're making the SBA lending a lot easier for lenders as well as small businesses ultimately. So in short, 504 loans do finance fixed assets. So 504 loans are by far the best option we have out there to finance real estate and machinery and equipment. Rates, as you know, at 25-year fixed rate on the SBA side is still in the around the 2.5, 2.65% range. So I mentioned in the last call we had a record month of debenture sales in September with the September sales. So it really is one of the best programs we've got out there, and the best thing there is for owner-occupied commercial real estate. Okay, that is the catch for the 504 loan program. So if you've got an owner-occupied real estate that occupies at least 51% or more of an existing building, the 504 program is the way to go. The 7A loan program, on the other hand, it's really designed and earmarked for financing commercial and industrial types of transactions. Excuse me. The little one wants to say something, but he's not very happy. So with the 7A program, that is really a guarantee loan program. So for the most part, lenders get a guarantee from the SBA under the Express program. It's a 50% guarantee. Under the 7A small and standard, it goes up to 75% and 85% if it's a small dollar loan. But our export program is by far the best option out there. So our export program does carry a guarantee of up to 90%. Okay, so just to add to the point you were making earlier, if you're in the business of exporting, whether it's a direct exporting or you make a component to a product that ultimately gets exported, that qualifies for our export programs. So we've got three very unique products under the export program. Under this new SOP, they were all put together under the same subsection. So lenders, as I mentioned earlier, it's easier for lenders to find this information. And most importantly, the STEP grant that you spoke of earlier, that gets funded partially by the SBA. So Massachusetts has received a $500,000 grant, I would say for at least 5 years in a row now. And the Commonwealth matches those funds, and we make the STEP grants available through the Commonwealth, but that is an SBA grant at the heart of it. So
when you say STEP, you're talking about the export grant?
The export grant, exactly. So $500,000 of I think 667,000 that they have in their pot, it comes from the federal government through the ESBA. But great program, you know, and it's been managed so well by the Commonwealth that, you know, we can't find a better partner, and we cannot think of a better partner to administer that program. In addition, we've got a couple of new prime grant recipients, since we're on the subject of grants. So the SBA makes technical assistance grants to all of our micro lending intermediaries for their existing business clients and prospects. So technical assistance comes in the form of help for business plans, you know, continuous assistance for, you know, all sorts of aspects of a business's, you know, life cycle. And the prime grantees, we got 2 prime grantees this year. So Community Teamworks out of Lowell and LEAF, which is the Local Enterprise Assistance Fund. They're Boston based. They both got $200,000 this year. So historically we've only had 1 prime grant recipient. So this year we've got 2. That means more funding available for small businesses who need technical assistance, and that's a little more intensive type of assistance that the prime grantees get. But
So,
go ahead.
Would they cover businesses in Brockton and this area that need technical assistance?
Absolutely, absolutely. So both the CTI group, can primarily works on the Merrimack Valley area. Whereas the Local Enterprise Assistance Fund, they will cover Brockton.
I wonder if you could help us make an introduction. So we'd love to get them down here.
We're more than happy to.
So many businesses that are trying to apply, and they just need someone to walk them through some of the technical assistance aspects of that for various grants and loans and stuff.
But, you know, as I mentioned, under the 7A loan program, the guarantee is to the lender, but that's in an environment like this, right? Most lenders are going to be looking for some sort of a credit enhancement to make any loans, any new loans. We're seeing credit tightening, you know, already from the various lending institutions. And we feel, I mean, we are a counter-cyclical type of a program. So we get busier in when the economy is not doing all that great. And we do anticipate, you know, FY 2021 to be one of those years where, you know, perhaps there's still going to be some, you know, some economic woes.
Okay. So you talked about that LEAF program. Yeah, if we can kind of create a connection there. In addition, you've got the SCORE group, the Senior Corps of Retired Executives. They operate throughout the region. They're headquartered here in the Brockton area at the Chamber of Commerce offices. And Rod Clark is the chair of that. I know they're offering assistance too, to meet with people. All you have to do is contact us or them. We'll put the links down below, and they'll set up an appointment remotely, electronically, and then they'll meet with you remotely, and they'll talk about anything you want to talk about in terms of a small business plan or you know, just weathering the storm here or applying for funds and that type of thing. They're a great resource. So well,
Chris, you know, to your point, I mean, SCORE has been a great partner of the SBA. SCORE is 100% funded by the SBA. You know, so they're one of our 4 counseling partners in a sense, right? So in addition to SCORE, we have the Small Business Development Centers, which, you know, the Southeast Development Center is usually on the call here, based out of Fall River. We do have the Center for Women in Enterprise, who does have an office in Boston and one out in Central Mass. And we do have the Veteran Business Outreach Center. So our, you know, counseling services basically for the most part are free of charge, and all of our, you know, partners, counseling partners do provide services. They're all, you know, working virtually, of course, like everyone else. But, you know, as a matter of fact, you know, we are seeing a lot of demand for some startup businesses. You'd be surprised in an economy like this, in such an uncertainty, right? Folks are, you know, entrepreneurs are innovators. So they're coming up with some great ideas. So, you know, we're making those matches. We're connecting them with the right people to work on their business plans, to work on their ideas. And again, thanks for bringing up, SCORE and the various SBA partners, because, we're all here to help small businesses and the small business community. So whether folks are currently in business or looking to start or expand, our various mentors and counselors are available free of charge.
So we talked a little bit when we started about this next phase 4 stimulus. I know from a chamber's perspective, we met with our banker on Monday just to talk about the possibility of phase 4 stimulus happening this week, and that chambers and nonprofits are presumed to be in it because every side has said that they put nonprofits and chambers of commerce back into the plan. It wasn't in the first PPP or any of the first rounds. So they sent us the application as it was in the first few rounds, and basically told us to complete the application, send it back to them, and then they'll have all of that in anticipation of the next phase. And if the application is tweaked a little bit or, adapted to nonprofits or asks for different information, at least, the bank at this point would have 90% of the information on hand and then could get us into the queue right away. So I guess for folks on the call, if you're involved in a nonprofit or you're on a board of a nonprofit or you're a bank and you have clients that may now qualify for PPP that didn't before, I guess the idea is to get ready now so that you're ready to go if and when these funds are made available. Does that sound like good advice?
Absolutely, Chris. It's for the most part, I've shared the numbers. We've got 118 plus thousand, PPP loan recipients in Massachusetts alone who perhaps will qualify for additional, funding. So the lenders do have that information, but for new clients, especially for those who didn't qualify the first round and may qualify on this next, stimulus packet, then definitely great advice to have the information at your fingertips. So, folks who are familiar with the SBA, programs, it's fairly easy, but it does ask for a lot of information. So definitely a good tip.
Okay. We also had a question for you, Eli, that was submitted early on, and it's in regard to the PPP loan forgiveness portals. Is there a particular portal? We were being told by a bank that they liked the information they found on the Treasury Department as well as the SBA web portal. They seem to both have the most up-to-date information. If someone's looking to get forgiveness on the PPP they already have, should they go back to the banker, or can they go direct and start to input their information to gain forgiveness on the funds?
So there is one SBA portal, okay? It's up, running, working perfectly. That is only available for lenders, okay? No small business can access our portal. So small businesses can only ask forgiveness through their, lender of record.
Okay.
So a lender of record would be the lender that either made the loan or funded the loan or acquired the loan from the lender who made that loan. So each lender, just to expedite this process, for the most part, they're all, hiring a third-party vendor. They're creating their own portal, and they're calling it a portal because there's no better name, I guess, for it, which then will interface with our SBA portal.
Okay.
Okay, so no small business can ask for forgiveness directly through the SBA without going first through their lender of record. But
okay.
we have received, a small number of decisions, and that was the other thing that the administrator mentioned yesterday at her visit here in Boston. She said that in the next few days, the payments for those decisions that the banks have submitted to us, already will start to get paid. So some of these decisions are probably 45 days old or older, right? We opened the portal initially on August 10th. So to date, no decision has been paid to the bank. Okay.
Did the banks front the money then? Is that what you're saying?
So the bank has not received any funds yet.
Okay. So they put the money out But they haven't received anything back. Okay.
That's right. So they have received for the processing fee.
Okay.
So again, the agency paid, depending on the loan size, we paid banks, various processing fee payments for making this loan. So again, an expense of the treasury here. And some of the loans got paid, as high as 5% processing fee.
Wow.
But still, this program is not a moneymaker. The banks did not do this for the money. When you look at a 5-year loan at 1%, no one did it for the money. I would, almost, I'll be certain, and it'd be pretty fair to say it, because if you look at the cost of funds for most of this lenders and the time it took to both make the loans, the risk associated with a non-recourse loan, which is what the PPP is, and all the work that goes in on the back end, verifying the information for loan forgiveness, monitoring these loans, and so on and so forth. And there's also that that curveball that was thrown in with the idle advances, which most of them are going to have to get. Basically, they'll become a 1% loan on the bank's books. So depending on how much small businesses received in idle advance, that amount's not going to be forgiven. So pretty much all EIDL advances are going to end up being a 1% loan on the bank's books for 5 years in some cases. So
As you say, they're doing it to help the community, to help themselves in terms of having potential bad debt if people defaulted. So it's really kind of a win-win. It's a proactive, defensive community.
I've said it many times. This program was only as successful, and it reached so many people because of the lending community. Everything that our lenders did. I mean, we went from 170 lenders in Massachusetts to over 600.
Wow.
Just with the PPP program. So, I mean, I shared that with with the administrator yesterday. I said, we're a small team, and I said we went from 170 lenders we work with in regular daily basis to over 600. In a course of 10 days in March.
Yeah, that's
right?
extraordinary.
So,
all working from home and online all of a sudden. Yeah.
Exactly. So, but definitely, I feel we're ready for the next step whenever that happens, and welcome, the opportunity to help small businesses again, and look forward to it.
Well, kudos to you and your team. It's a really extraordinary feat. So I don't see many more questions here. Any closing remarks from anyone? Margaret? No? Okay, then I'm going to thank everyone for being on the call. We hope to have news. We're not scheduled to be on next week. I might ask that if something happens in the next few days, that maybe we pull together a meeting for next Friday at 2, and then not do it the week after or something like that. But because this is going to be, back to March. Between the increase in cases and the amount of strain on the local businesses, combined with a new phase of PPP, EIDL, and all of the rest, it's really going to require us to get information out as soon as possible. So please pay attention to your emails, and hopefully, if there is good news, we will be here to share it with you and get into the details of how and what the best way is to access those funds and whatnot. So again, I want to thank you all for being with us. I want to thank our panelists for being with us once again in week 26. Got to now check because it seems like forever. And look forward to seeing you either next week or the week after. Want to wish everyone a great weekend. It's supposed to be another great one this Saturday and Sunday. So wish you well, and hopefully you get outside and enjoy some fall weather. Take care. Have a great day.
Thank you, Chris. You too.
Chris.